I was speaking to a friend in the office the other day, and she realized that she told me she didn't know anything about buying a home. She didn't know anything about stamp duty. She didn't know anything about the fees or the hidden fees, anything like that. So I thought, let's create a 9-step guide for purchasing your first home. And that's exactly what this is. Welcome to the Finance Show without Joe. I'm Michael.
I'm Brian.
Here it is. Today, we're actually going to run through a 9-step process that gives you really everything you need to know as a first home buyer. Everything about the purchasing process, whether you're going to auction, whether it's via private treaty. We're going to break it all down. We're going to let you know where some hidden fees come up, things that people don't really talk about, like stamp duty, for example. That one caught me off guard, even though my dad told me about it.
Oh, really?
Well, I just sort of forgot.
Now, how much is stamp duty? Like for the people, like what's the rough amount that they can be charging you for this?
Man, in New South Wales, it's like 50 grand.
Huh?
It's like 50 grand in New South Wales.
Oh, like so after I pay that deposit, I gotta pay an extra.
Yeah. Well, and this is why step 1 is financial preparation.
Yeah.
That's why you need to know everything about your situation. Now, you can do this yourself. It's pretty difficult though, especially if you're not really financially literate, you don't have a degree or anything like that. So usually it would be best to honestly get in contact with a broker.
Yeah.
You can always head over to simple.com.au.
Yeah.
But
shameless plug. Like that was completely shameless.
That was shameless,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what are we here for? So that way you can establish your borrowing capacity.
Yeah.
You can figure out what your budget is and all those kinds of things. That is the best time to get in touch.
Yeah.
And this is when it costs you nothing. So
Yeah.
right now, you don't have to do shit.
Yeah.
Just start figuring out what your finances look like.
When you decided to go and get your property, did you go to like a financial advisor or just use your accountant, or how did that work for you?
Well,
this sounds like a techie question.
for me,
Yeah.
nobody's met my dad, but if you do know him, he knows these things,
Yeah.
and he just sort of was like, "We're doing this," and I
for it.
was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So I'm not the best example
Well,
in this
I
scenario.
know a lot of people that went through it and they were like, yeah, I'm really glad I went through my financial advisor. And I know some people who are like, no, I'm not going to trust someone to go through that. I have an accountant. They send me my stuff. All I have to send you is bank statements.
Yeah.
But some people, especially in this economy where, there's so much uncertainty and things are costing us so much, it's probably good to have that second opinion to see what you can afford and if there's stuff you're missing.
Oh, 100%. And especially with tax reform changes like we've had recently, with negative gearing and stuff like that, that does affect your borrowing capacity if you're an investor.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything if you're a first-home buyer in terms of negative gearing. But yeah, that leads us into our second step, which is actually finding the property you want to buy.
And that's the most important part, I would say. Because there's so many different options. Oh, look. There are a lot of different options, but with the competition that you have, you really don't have that many options.
Yeah, and after step 1, you know what your budget is, so you at least know what kind of suburbs you're looking at.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is where some people are really self-sufficient, so they'll look up things and they'll go through all the necessary channels, but then some people tend to not have that time, so they try to get things like buyer's agents, which personally, I don't fully see the point in a buyer's agent unless you're buying somewhere out of state, because that helps.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever found it. Or if you're really busy and you don't have time to do this research on your own.
Yeah.
Those are the
costly.
two things.
They're not cheap. So
that's the thing, yeah.
you have to really be dedicated, and you can't be a fence sitter thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm going to buy it or what I should do. You have to be very certain that you have enough to buy and you want to buy.
Yeah, that's true. And then at this point, let's assume now in step 2, when you're finding the property, you're pretty certain that you want to buy.
Oh, you hope so. So much uncertainty these days.
I know, but be certain.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to have your short list as well, right?
Yes.
you have to line up what your budget is compared to what you actually want to own, whether it's an investment property or it's an owner occupied. You have to be super clear about that, because when you're buying these properties, let's say, for example, you want to rent it out, the most important thing for you in that situation should be rental yield. So you'd be looking at those states that provide the most rental yield compared to the cost of the actual house itself.
Yeah, and I think that leads to having a plan, right? Just beforehand. Know why you want to buy this property. Don't just buy it because you're supposed to.
Yeah.
If you're buying a home, that's different. You just you're just buying a
Yeah,
home. You're just buying somewhere
because you
want
want to live there.
Yeah, exactly.
Convenience.
It's actually quite simple at that point. It's almost like buying, shoes.
Yeah.
Just pick the one you want
Yeah.
to a certain extent. Granted, it's a bit more competitive.
Yeah,
but
well, to be fair, most people in Sydney these days, like the younger demographic, look, most people's parents are living in the homes that they want. But younger people, when they're deciding to buy homes, everyone's rent vesting. So it's like, I want to live in Bondi, and I can't afford the $10 million place where I'm living.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rent it out and get an investment property somewhere further out west, or like maybe in Adelaide or
even the regions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is also when you would start contacting real estate agents to actually look at the properties as well.
Yeah.
Because that's key. And this is where what you were saying about buyer's agents, this is when it comes in handy. So for example, if you live in Brisbane and you want to buy property in South Australia, you've never been to South Australia, you don't know what anything's like in South Australia. If you can find either a buyer's agent that resides in the state or in Adelaide or something like that, or at least has knowledge of that, that's when that's useful when you're doing your research.
Well, especially if you're deciding to buy somewhere out state. So one of my friends was buying a place, I think it was in Queensland or Perth, I can't fully remember. And he was like, look, I want to be able to go to the place before, just in case. So he planned a whole trip, went there over the weekend just to see the place and had a bit of a holiday or whatever it is. He got there and they had AI'd the grass. So he went in there, the front yard was full of dead grass and dirt. And he was like, wait, what?
It looked way nicer in the pictures.
Yeah.
He got excuse me. I'm a little sick. My throat hurts. He got catfished by a house.
Yeah, literally got catfished by a house. And I was like, and this is why you need someone like a buyer's agent if you can't afford to go over there and check.
And that's step 3, due diligence.
Yeah.
Before you make any kind of offer.
Yeah.
Go to these inspections. It's not messing around. Not everyone is trustworthy. Some people, the pictures are accurate.
Yeah.
Others, you just really have to see.
Yeah, well, and
what's going
sometimes
on.
it's not even about what you can see cosmetically, right? Because that's why you get things like a termite inspection too, because things on the exterior could look great. You end up finding out that you have termites and there's like a pillar in your house that could fall over just because there's an infestation.
Exactly. And you got to check for structural issues. And I tried to do this once because I've done a little bit of work on site, but only a little bit. My dad's a builder. I don't actually know what I'm looking at. I'm like, that seems fine, but I have no idea. This is when you would actually pay someone to do this. So like for all these inspections, from your pest inspection to your structural inspections, cost you anywhere from $400 to $800 in New South Wales. So that's one thing you've got to start.
But you got to do it. You can't just walk up to a house and start hitting on the walls, thinking,
hoping for the best.
I know what's going on here because it feels hollow. It's
and honestly, sometimes termites aren't even that obvious, especially if they're more in like the interior structure and stuff like that. This is just what I've heard. I've never had a problem with termites.
Look, and this is the thing, right? It's you don't know. You're not a professional at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You can try save that money, but I'm telling you right now that $400 that you're saving for the inspection could end up costing you tens of thousands of dollars because if a wall comes down or your roof starts bowing, things like that, you don't take risks with stuff like that.
No, definitely not. And also, you got to do a strata inspection if you're buying a unit as well. So this reviews the strata records, finances, defects, disputes. It's very similar to like a private inspection or even a professional inspection. But the strata, for those who don't know, it's essentially a scheme or a community or a group that it requires contributions from the owners in the apartment building to manage the shared areas in an apartment complex. So if you've got a pool and a spa, you'll have to pay strata fees for that. So when you are buying into this building, you're also buying into the strata scheme. So you're also going to want to review that. You also want to find out if strata is actually fixing anything. If there's a lot of dispute, if there's a lot of complaints about strata and it's a really annoying building to live in. So this will cost you anywhere from $200 to $500, but it's worth doing because you can also get a feel of even the culture of the building that you live in, which the more and more first-home buyers are buying apartments nowadays. So really lock that in. And optional stuff for you to look at is things like your flood and bushfire risk reports. That's more if you buy in the outer suburbs. If you're in Sydney, you're buying in places like the Hills District or near Windsor or something like that.
Or the Blue Mountains and whatnot, places that are very susceptible to that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And you also, if you're planning on building and stuff like that, let's say you buy a regular house and you want to put townhouses on that.
Yeah.
Check the council zoning rules
Yeah.
and the planning restrictions first before you've just got this property that you can't build townhouses
And
on.
you would be surprised how many people make those mistakes as well.
It's very easy to avoid.
Yeah, they'll have an entire plan for like a new house or something, and you end up finding out that no, you can't actually build into your basement because we have restrictions here. So your whole plan goes to shit, and now your whole plan is ruined, and now you have to go back to the drawing board, and it's going to cost you more money to get new plans and change things. And
Like I said, at this point, it's going to cost you around $1,000 and you haven't even made an offer yet because
Yeah.
you've also got to take a look at the contract of sale with your solicitor or conveyancer. Obviously, same thing as the inspections. You don't know anything.
yeah,
And legal stuff can be very complicated. So that will cost you about $500. And this is where you can suggest amendments if it's a private sale.
yeah.
This actually does not count if this is an auction,
And
which
that
leads
ties
me
in
to step 4.
Step 4, which is when we make an offer or you go to auction. So going to auction is obviously you go bid for the house with everyone around you. It's a very
Hold your
public,
battle.
yeah, very public space. And then you have your private offers where you can negotiate, speak in the background, and really get the terms that you really want. So you and the seller are happy.
Yeah.
They all have their kind of benefits and flaws though.
We're noticing right now in the news that auction clearance rates are going down. So private sales are going up.
Yeah, of course they are.
Because property values are going down. People are shit scared about the reforms and
I
so
thought they were
on.
scared about all the boomers going to auction and, outbidding everyone because they have the most money. I thought that was...
No, now because of the reforms, there's
Yeah.
fewer people showing up because they're worried that their investments won't really play out the way they want because no negative gearing. So early on, you won't have that tax advantage.
Yeah.
And the capital gains things for when you sell, it's just not as juicy a pie as it used to be.
Yeah. You know what I had no idea about though? I had no idea that when you decide to go to an auction, you have to actually register. You got to register for the auction and you have to go with approved finance because if you win that auction, they want their deposit.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I thought it was kind of like I theoretically am okay with paying this.
No.
No.
And there's no cooling off period like a private. Like
Yeah.
it is if you've bid and you won the bid, pay the money.
Yeah,
right now.
There is a technicality. If you you have to have your deposit.
Yeah.
And you're okay if you don't have your approved finance.
Yeah.
But you've only got 14 days to get approved finance or you will lose the deposit and the property.
Yeah.
So it's a very good idea to try and get pre-approval.
Yeah. That's when you speak to a broker.
Yes.
As Michael said, it's simple.com.au.
And a private sale, things work a little bit different. You want to explain that to me?
Yeah, so private sale, look, it's usually what you'd do is you'd go and negotiate with the actual property owners themselves. If the house is listed as X amount and the reserve is X amount, they're trying to get over the reserve to obviously make their money.
Yeah.
And you have some wiggle room because let's say, for example, the homeowner wants it for 1.2, the reserve is $1 million. There's some wiggle room in that you can say that, okay, well, if we at least go above the reserve and you don't want this and the house has been on the market for X amount of time, you're kind of helping them out in a way. Whereas you don't have that you don't have that luxury when you're doing that in an auction space because someone there sometimes might be willing to go well above the reserve, which is great for the homeowner, but sometimes you're not going to get those offers. It's kind of a...
No, it would just depend on what the market's doing as well. Well, if it's like what's happening now when private sales are going up, or rates of private sales are going up, it's because they're not getting what they want in auction.
Exactly. That's why. That's what's happening. Because we can't, some of these things we just can't afford. Like people just can't afford to be at auction just bidding against people. And when bidding wars start, realistically, you think they're going to be like, you think bidding wars are fun, but when you start actually going to auctions and seeing what's going on, it makes complete sense why people want to go private because it's just a very intense environment.
Yeah. And some sellers just straight up don't want to do an auction, not for any financial reason.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with the auction process.
Yeah, it's a lot too. It's a very strenuous process.
Yeah.
And you just don't know, like I said, like it's a risk in itself taking it to an auction because you could make a lot more than you want to make, but you could also not and then have the stress of an auction.
Yeah.
Whereas you rather negotiate in private with multiple people at a time and see if you can get that sale over the line.
Yeah, and assuming everything has gone really well, your offer has been accepted, whether it's private or at auction, you're good to go. This is where step 5 comes in, the exchange of contracts. This is where it's quite simple. It's when you sign the contracts, both you, buyer and seller. And this is also when you actually pay the deposits.
Yeah.
So you've got a 5-day cooling off period in New South Wales. I'm not 100% sure on what it is, but it varies slightly state to state.
Yeah.
Which does let you pull out, but you will lose 0.25% of the purchase price.
Yeah, okay.
So not a big, I mean, relatively speaking, you buy $1 million house. That's 25 grand you just lost.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so try not to do that. Again, if you've done everything properly at this point, you've spoken to everyone, you've got a plan, everything's going well, you're good to go. And the costs here, really, really simple. You've got the deposit, which is anywhere from 5 to 20% of the property price, depending if you utilize schemes. There's a lot of things that go into that, but 5 to 20%, and your solicitor and conveyances fees, which can be anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000. Again, depends on how good your lawyer is, I guess.
Yeah, for those that don't know, solicitors and conveyancers are just lawyers, right?
They're lawyers, yeah. And they just essentially look over the contract, make sure you're not getting screwed over. They also make sure that the seller is actually authorized to sell. This is where title searches come in, which is where step 6 is finalizing the loan.
Oh, that's a stressful part, right?
Yeah.
It's when the real gravy. It's when you're about to get your property, which is good, but it's also the most stressful part because that's when everyone's trying to cross T's.
Yeah, this is the most like nitty gritty part, I would say. Like it's a lot of contract law.
Yeah, it's a lot of things that can fall underneath the rug that you might not really be looking at.
Yeah, and a lot of fees come up here, little fees, but just a lot of little bits and bobs.
But it all adds up, right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of little fees turn into a massive fee at the end of the day.
The valuation itself comes at a fee.
Costs something.
$200 to $400 right there. And then you've got things like loan establishment fees, which aren't always applicable, but they can be. They're probably most of the time. Most of the time are, so don't ignore them. Assume you won't have to pay them. Like these cover like administrative and processing costs, like setting up the actual account, the credit checks, documentation, underwriting, all that sort of stuff. I opened my account for the first time when I bought the mortgage, and it was like a minus all these things already. And I'm like, but I've done nothing. I just started. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I find out. So this is me telling you, letting you know, so you're not shocked.
Yeah. There are going to be more fees. It doesn't end there.
Yeah, and these can be anywhere from $150 to $1,000. Depends on the lender. Depends on the loan type. It depends on a lot of things.
Yeah.
It can be a flat fee, percentage, tiered, whatever.
It just depends.
And then we've got the pre-settlement period. Step 7. You want to take this one?
Oh, pre-settlement period lasts about 4 to 6 weeks, which sounds like a long time.
Yeah.
It sounds like a very long time, not going to lie.
But it does fly by.
Yeah.
You're kind of glad. No, you know what? I take it back.
It's like 4 to 6 weeks of just stress.
Yeah, it kind of is. I'm not going to lie. You're just kind of waiting for settlement day.
This is the crucial part because it's now when we're making your solicitors come into play and they're making sure that everything's above board, which is also just keeping you as the buyer safe, but also the seller as well. Because you could end up finding out that they're trying to sell a house that might have like a caveat on it where it actually shouldn't be sold, or like there's a legal reason as to why.
Yeah, 100%. There could be like a divorce proceeding going on, and like the person who's trying to sell it actually doesn't own it.
Yeah,
there could be a lot of things,
and they're trying to sell it quickly before the divorce is fully settled.
Yeah,
there's so much. There's so many little things that you might not even think of that can end up being a problem.
Oh, 100%.
And this is why solicitors are important. Because I know that some people try to go through this process without solicitors at all.
Again, I had the advantage of Dad was a former barrister, so he did know this shit.
He knows.
But this is also the period where your solicitor will take care of a lot of this stuff. Or your conveyancer, whoever. Your lawyer will take care of a lot of this stuff. You, however, have to arrange insurance.
Yeah.
That is key. I didn't know this. I thought insurance was optional.
No.
It is not
for a house. Yeah,
it is not optional.
Don't play around about that. And you know what's funny as well? Like you just don't, like anything could happen. You could have like a random heater fire or like flash flooding, like roof can cave in.
There's a reason for it,
It's
but
there. And you have to do this all before settlement.
yes.
So it's like there's no like, oh, I can do it after we settle on the loan.
Yeah.
And no, it has to be before settlement.
And like, I'd love to give you a rough cost of that, but it would depend entirely on the property.
It depends on the property location. It all varies depending on, obviously, if you're in a high flood area or you're in a
You're going to
bushfire
be
zone,
paying a massive
you're going
premium.
to pay a lot.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Or like even houses, I found out the houses that like have like overhanging trees.
Oh,
Like
because
if
the tree might fall.
even if you're in like a normal suburb, if your house has a lot of overhanging trees around it, they can charge you more on insurance. I did not realize that was a thing. So we can have the same house in the same neighborhood.
But it would
if
be
I have
different.
if I have 3 massive trees hanging over my house, if there's a storm or like
Uh-huh.
I'm more at risk, insurance might go up.
So costs around this section, outside of insurance, which I said that is highly variable. You're going to have to do your shopping on that.
Yeah.
Compare the market, all those kinds of tools. Keep them in mind when day 8 comes, or step 8.
Yeah.
I wish it was day 8. When settlement day comes, step 8, this is when you get the house. You get the
Yeah.
keys.
Yeah. Everything gets transferred. You're now
Mm-hmm.
officially the owner. Like things have started. This is now your responsibility.
Yeah. But this is also when big costs come.
Oh,
I already said there were big costs, but this is the big cost.
It's when that one thing we all hate paying comes into play. It's when we have to pay stamp duty.
Oh, yeah.
Stamp duty is that the when it is nuts how much stamp duty. Like so you're telling me I've just made a deposit on this house for X amount, whatever it is. Maybe I've even used like the
5% scheme.
Yeah, I've even used a scheme.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I've got to pay an extra $40,000 to $50,000. Yeah, look, I didn't even know stamp duty existed, and I thought once you own the house, all the payments end. But it is a massive fee that you have to be ready for.
There are some options for stamp duty relief or exemption.
Yeah,
Again, you'd have to speak to your broker to
you need
apply
to know
those kinds of
policy on
things.
that, yeah.
Yeah. But generally speaking, if you don't apply for any guarantees or schemes, you're paying stamp duty.
And then there's also like registration fees as well, right? So like when you're transferring the registration, you have to pay for that.
Yeah.
You also have to pay for a mortgage registration fee as well.
They get you with so many things.
And this is where we talk about all these like little fees that add up because both of those fees range between like $150 to $300. So you just and that's 2 fees, mind you. So it's like you could end up paying $600 just for these 2
easy
registrations.
peasy. Yeah, 100%. But once you've paid all of that, it's yours. Step 9, after settlement, pop the champagne. And then also get ready for the rest of your ongoing bills, which include all your utilities, your water, your internet, your electricity. Set all that up. You got to notify the council or your strata and then start paying council fees.
Yeah.
It's a joy.
And organize it early. Organize it early. I have a friend that's literally still waiting for his bins to come.
Oh, what a fool.
Still waiting for his bins to come just because he moved in and he was like, oh shit, I didn't even know that I had to do this.
Yeah, I was lucky. I already had the bins there.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like he moved into a new house. So like you have to organize everything. And these are things that people don't tell you, right? You think to yourself, I move into a house, it's new. There'll be bins there. Yeah. But no, you got to organize with strata and you have to pick which size bin you want as well. Cause like there's like little red bins or you get a big one.
And they cost different, obviously.
Obviously. That's why everyone has the little red bin. Because
it goes out every week.
Yeah, exactly. Till you have family over and now you're like, damn.
You're squashing it down. You have a party. Yeah.
We've been there a few times, I'm not going to lie.
So that's the 9-step guide. That's everything you need to know. And let me summarize it. In summary, upfront fees, your building and pest, $400 to $800. Strata report, $200 to $500. Your contract review, it could be free, could be $500. $1,800 total. That's just upfront.
Yeah.
At exchange, your deposit, which is anywhere from 5 to 20%, which depending on the price of your property, could be 50 grand, 100 grand, however much. Then you got the cooling off penalty, which as long as you stick to the purchase, you don't have to pay, but that's 0.25% of the value of the property. And then before or at settlement, you're paying stamp duty, which is about $50K. You're paying your conveyancer solicitor, which is about $1,500 to $3,000. You got your bank fees, which is anywhere from free to $600. It's almost never free. It can be, but it's almost never free.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
You're prepared to pay.
You got your title and search fees, which is anywhere from $300 to $800. Your registration fees, $300 to $500. There's a few things. I mentioned all these fees and stuff, but you don't necessarily have to pay them like bit by bit. Most of the time, it's pretty common for your broker or whoever's handling your loan to sort of lump them all within the mortgage.
Yeah, which makes more sense because that way you're not actually paying these things up front. You're already getting a loan, so you may as well.
Yeah.
It's like consolidating debt, basically. So
Essentially.
you consolidate all your fees in the loan, and then that way you don't have to be out of pocket because already like you're spending so much money that you might not have enough available.
Oh, 100%. And Liam, our producer, was just telling us that his conveyancer even recommended to him to put in an extra 10 grand into his accounts so that there was a buffer and stuff like that. So be prepared for those kinds of things. It's not just the deposit, but a lot of it is rolled into the loan because they know you're paying a big deposit.
Dude, I would have looked at my conveyancer saying add more money. I'm like, yeah, bro, from where? Like, what you just cost me $3 grand and you're talking about putting an extra 10 into.
I appreciate your work. I didn't appreciate that much.
Yeah.
That's kind of everything.
Yeah, so how can we summarize this whole conversation? It's fees.
Fees.
Yeah,
Be prepared.
Fees. Find your home. Get your financials in order.
Mm-hmm.
Stamp duty is not fun to pay.
No.
But you have to pay it. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is there's no number 5. We're going to keep it at 4.
Number 5, dealer choice. You put your number 5 in the comments. But, thank you all for listening. I hope this was helpful for any first-home buyers out there. If there was anything you missed or you have a question, drop that down in the comments. We'd be happy to answer it. We've got a whole team of brokers here, so even if it's not one of us two idiots.
I'm not answering questions.
He's not answering
You're
questions.
going to put them in the comments and then we're going to put it to our brokerage team who's going to answer the question perfectly for you.
Unless I already know them. If you need any brokering services or anything like that, you're looking to purchase, refi, anything, head over to itsimple.com.au. We've got a great team. It's free. What are you waiting for?
What do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Literally.
Thanks, guys.